Hello everyone. So we are going to meet again on the cloud computing. So today we are going to look a little bit into the networks. So it's a very theory module. So I'm going to read all the slides, but we'll be discussing some important parts of the cloud and how networking is important in cloud computing. So fundamental thing is cloud is a collection of interrelated computers. Means even though it's internet, intranet or whatever, it means it's based on a network. So that's why the main backbone of cloud is the networking. So we need to have some fundamental understanding in that. We are going to look about the MFC model of cloud computing from a very single purpose architectures to multi-purpose architectures, and of course how virtualization came into place in the data centers. So in previous classes we explained what is cloud, and here we are going to look about the cloud computing and the networking. So from TCP/IP, which was the very old one, transfer control protocol, I'm sure you have learned that in your network modules, right? So the emergence of network also increasingly show the security requirements, because the more devices being connected means more people are being connected. There are rogue peoples, rogue ones, and there will be requirement for securities. We need better security. So infrastructure 1.0, that was actually the first service model offered to the customers, which establish and maintain different routes of connectivities, right? Connecting the end point user, the person who is at the house or the person who is in the office, being connected to this network. And I 1.0 was created, shifted wealth and accelerated technological advancement. So technology is something that is evolving, that is changing today. Okay, so from kilobytes to megabytes to terabytes, it has been evolving in terms of connectivity, bandwidth. Also you can see improvements in everywhere. So what was the most exclusive domain, firmwares and hardwares are being evolved in this. So we need hardware, software, and the interface means like a small software that controls the hardware, like administering, configuring, and managing the hardware. That part will becomes. So different companies, they have gone into the virtualization because of the excess hardware spaces, like VMware, Microsoft, Citrix. All these people, they have been going through that. So first iteration of cloud computing was probably be traced back to the old days. Okay, so essentially singular clouds. But today we have even the clouds being connected, like Amazon to Microsoft Azure. There is a API or connection between all the providers. So to go outside their cloud and connect to other cloud service providers. So the end point of this route between the cloud will be the pathway to the demarcation between the cloud and the other customer service provider. So from customer's perspective, this endpoint was known as the main point of entry. Okay, and by having application use specific protocols to transport data and or to file the protocols, by moving the files to one location to another, an application behind the MPOE could accept or reject the traffic. Like there is a firewall that accept or reject the traffic from it. So while some of this may hold, most of the parts are very similar to the old ones. So things will change. So how we actually try to manage things has been day to day. So MSPs, the providers would actually go into the customer sites to perform and show how things are working. It all days. Okay, so now preferably is the ability of the live internet connection and power. PPP, like there is a common term called PPP for ping, power, and pipeline. Ping means like to check the connection between two devices. Power, of course, is the name enough, and pipe means like the throughput of those like and how the customers will be paid for it. So generally, the PPP part of the charge was built into the provider's monthly service fees. So we are adding that amount to the monthly service fees. Common service providers by MFPs include the remote network, desktop and security monitoring for is like incident response or disaster management. And advantage of customers using the MFP is that purchasing is defined at set service. So from the evolutionary growth of MFP field, coupled of leaps and made in internet and network technologies in the last 10 years, it has been emerged. So thereby the infrastructure became a secondary service because people are more interested in software as a service. They don't care about which server that their file have been placed. Thereby, the access service model also was evolving. Unknown infrastructures. So typically, cloud computing has been viewed as a broad array of internet protocols, like the application who are run in the web browsers, and pay for use model was placed over there, especially in SaaS. Pay as you go means like how much you use, how much you want, you have to pay for that. And the cloud evolved from the roots of damaged service provider environments to critical other elements. Today, the customers no longer care which physical service has been good. So that's why, in business terms, that the service providers they can put many applications in one server. Customers don't need to invest capital on those servers, and customers are able to connect to the cloud without actually installing software. It's a if it's a SaaS model, browser is enough. You don't have to install anything. So basic approaches for data center based on the SOA. SOA we are going is called the service oriented architectures. Planning for capacity, planning for availability, and SOA security. Service architectures are business service models like service agreements. We just have that. And SOA solutions consist of linked set of business services that realize an endpoint services, and at a high level, SOA can be viewed as enabling improved business controls. Okay, and differentially between SOA and other cloud control can be also confused. And SOA approach to a data center for data center based SOA services are more reflect on the business activities and business functions have been defined self-contained. The connection between the services may also be involved on data processing which requires two or more service coordinating and activities. And these services generally communicate using some standard protocols or like new services will be added. Service-oriented architectures are not as new, but here distributed component object model DCOM or object request brokers that has been used. An introduction of SOA like comes with the platform technologies. So these are the some benefits through the SOAs. Freestanding components are independent, combined by loose coupling, message-based instead of API-based, physical locations, and planning for capacity. It is important to create a capacity plan for the SOA architectures, and to accomplish this, it's very necessary that initial infrastructure is the baseline of the capacity, and just setting up the initial infrastructure can be challenging, and that should be based on known capacity requirements. Once the infrastructure is set up, it is necessary to establish a set of processing patterns, and these patterns will be used to test the capacity and should include a mix of simple, medium, and other complex patterns. And availability planning includes performing a business impact analysis and the developing and implementing of written availability plan. And the goal is to ensure that system administrators adequately understand the criticality of the system, and this requires proper planning and analysis of the system development lifecycle. Okay, so The BIA business availability first step is planning process. So BI provides necessary information for administrators to fully understand like what system we need to protect. And the process also should categorize system requirements, processes, and like the independence of this. And management also should be included in the process of development body. For the security, the fundamental of SOA security are well known and are widely used in all the part of IT industry. So the practitioners has come to realize that they must understand these foundations. Like for example, foundation includes public key function. Like there are two parties, sender and request receiver, that they have two keys, public and private key. They exchange each other just to make sure the correct user get this message. The common security protocols like extensible market like XML for encryption or other digital signatures. So what are the main areas of concern is in the security of the SOAs? First, we have the message level security. Secondly, security as a service that provide the ability to implement security requirements for them. Third, we need the policy-based security provides. So the OSS sets of WS security standards we have been followed like supporters of vendors like IBM or Microsoft, even Oracle, and the standard provide us a model describing how to manage authenticate message between the parties, and the standard recommends web service endpoint of those security tools. And furthermore, a federated trust model describing how to manage and how the broker must build a trust relationship in a heterogeneous or federated environment, and the standard of the web and the trust level of that. There's also authentication, like claiming who the user are, providing the username and password, and the from server side we check is that a valid username or password, and then we allowed. And some policies. So policies, writing the policies are very important in security. So security as a service can be also accomplished by collecting an inventory of specific security elements throughout the architectures. And next, the organization must complete the process of designing and implementing these security services, and a toolkit approach to help specify a set of typical security services. So declaration and policy based security, we need to write policies, okay, about what security tools will be used, what are the violations, like things we should not do, and how the alerts will be like if someone not being granted access is trying to access a file, then some kind of alert, email or anything, SMS will be generated. So we need to trace the violation of that. All right, so that's it about the network and security a little bit. There's very more to cover, but still I thought of just keep it very simple because cloud is based on network or interconnected computers. Thank you.